Welcome to part 4 of this little mini series I was doing. And so in this video I'm going to go ahead and change out the old boot that's connected to the rear of the transmission onto the drive shaft, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys the process for that. Here is the box, and again I got this from FCP Euro, so here you can kind of see the part number and whatnot. Here are the parts. So it looks like I have two gaskets right here. The actual grease, I'm pretty sure it's like the same grease that they use for like on the CV joints. If you ever replaced one of those before or opened one of those up. A one-time use clamp. These are a joy to open up when you have to open things up, because these are not fun at all. So, but here's that, and then here is what I'm really changing out for. So right here, so in the car right now, this part is torn on me. So so that's what I want to replace. So you can see here what it looks like on the inside. This is where I'll be replacing, is this piece right here. And as you can, I don't think the camera will be able to get a good look, but that inner boot is just torn up. 6mm bolts. So use the 6mm hex to get these bolts out right here. So there I actually had to remove the center drive shaft carrier because this did not have enough bend like I thought it would. So this joint from that connects to this front part of the drive shaft to the rear, I thought I had a little bit more bend to it, so that I can leave this installed and then this will be able to hang a little bit, just enough down for me to you know, change out the boot, but it didn't. So I actually have to just go ahead and just completely remove the bolts, so that the only that's holding on the drive shaft is all the way to the rear diff. So right here is the old one. So now it's just hanging right here on the floor. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this out. So these are the pliers I'm referring to get them off. So I have a smaller one and I have a bigger one. I'm going to try the smaller one just to see if maybe these will do. If not, then I'll go to the bigger one, but I have a feeling that in reality it's these bigger ones. But so I'm going to find where that hole is right here, and since this is compressed, I'm going to try to open it. Alright, after a very long time, finally got the snap ring out. So it was a combination of this little guy and this flathead to try to get this out, because I was on the struggle bus for this. Alright, finally got this thing off. So what I ended up having to do is use this hammer and kind of bang it up a bit, so you kind of see a little bit banged up, but yeah, it eventually came undone. So again, just be very careful when you're hitting this. Alright, so I went ahead and cleaned this up, and I did remove a little bit of maneuvering here and there. I was able to go ahead and remove the insides for a little bit so that I can get a little bit better clearance. I cleaned up the inside, so if you can see right, let me point with my finger here, so hopefully the lighting is good. So you can see where it's divided. So here is that top flange that we're going to be replacing, and in here is the actual this little metal little cylinder part right here that's going to be separated. So what I'm going to do is get like a little chisel and try to chisel away here like all where it's exposed, where this part is exposed on the inside. So what I ended up doing a little bit different from what I was actually mentioning. So pretend that, so I had it all together and I was referring to like hitting the inside part right here, but if I can remove this, I actually, instead of trying to hit like this, I actually went inside of here. So I put the flathead in here because I figured I had more leverage there and it wasn't going to slide. So you can kind of see how the flathead is inside of this part right here. So then obviously this was like this, and then I had this right here, and then I got the hammer and I was trying to hold on to this majority the best that I could, because I didn't want to hold it by this, because this is what I want to move and this is what I want to have stationary. So I kind of held it like this, And then I kind of, with my fingers, just held the hammer up and I gave it a really good whack. And then that's what eventually, little by little, it got disengaged. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install one of the two gaskets. Again, both of these are exactly the same size. So there is no like ones for the front part or ones for the rear. So you can see that they are very symmetric both. So just pick one. I'm just gonna go with this one. What these are for, these three plates, what I believe they're for is to help distribute the load evenly throughout this flange, because if these were not there, so that means that these 6 bolts right here, once they're torqued down, pretty much the force would kind of just be on these main points, right? These 6 points right here, and then the gasket, if I can speak English correctly today, the gasket will only be pressed against, where the bolts are right there, so it wouldn't create a really good seal. This next step is obviously going to be very messy, but I'm going to teach you guys. If you ended up removing the ball bearings out, I'm going to show you the correct way on how to do it. But right here, if you can remember in the previous video, see how that little line right there is on this side but not on the one on this side? This side goes to the front of the towards the transmission, and on this end goes towards the rear part of the car. And then when you're looking at this, you'll see how there's like a little lip. I'll see if I can see that little lip right there. When you look at the other side, it's all flat. So this side goes towards the transmission, and then obviously process of elimination, this part with the lip goes towards the rear part of the car. When looking at this part right here, you'll see how there is some divots right there. So how this is going this way and this one is going this way. And obviously if you look at this, it's going to be this exact same. It has this pattern all the way through. So this channel goes this way and then this one goes this direction. And then when you look at this one, you'll see the same kind of pattern in a way as well. So here this one goes this way, and this one goes this way. And then obviously it's symmetric all around. So what you want to be careful is aligning it the right way and not the wrong way. Because if you don't do it the right way, what more than likely it's going to happen is this is supposed to, move when it's correct on. But if you did it, if you installed the bearings the wrong way, this more than likely will probably be stiff. It won't even move. Doesn't matter which way you start. What matters is how you install it. So see how this is going. So I'm going to start off with this one. See how this is going that way? So what you want to do is find a slot here that's actually going the opposite way of this. So in this case, how this one is going this way, and this one, when I line it up, it's actually going in this direction and not this. You do not want to get confused and line it up where, this is going this way. Oh, then that means this has to be lined up going this way as well. No, that is completely wrong. You want to do it opposite. So this one's going this way. So find a slot on this that's going in this direction, and always remember, so this face right here is going towards the back of the car, and the face down is towards the transmission. So I'm having it, so again, just to verify, this little lip is towards the exhaust. So I found a slot right here, so you can see this slot. I think I'm repeating myself a lot here. This slot, if I were to look at it, is going this way. So I do not want to use this slot. This slot is going in that direction, and this one's going in this direction, so those will mash up. So I'm gonna go ahead and put one ball bearing ball in here in this little open groove, and then that is, I'm trying to, there's kids just screaming all of a sudden. I'm getting all confused now. Okay, here we go. So here's this one is going this way, and this slot right here is going to go in this direction. So I'm going to line it up going one right there. So there is one. Then I'm going to get a second one, and and I'm going to put it in the slots, and I'm going to kind of maneuver it in a way so I have 2 in, going on for the 3rd. Now this goes in like that, and then kind of maneuver again, continue maneuvering it so it goes in. There is no need to be using a hammer when doing this. Okay, so that's in. 2 more. So again, you gotta maneuver this just right so you can get this ball in. There is 5, and then the last one's right here. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. That's how you install. So now you can see how this center part, so if I can remain this part still, see how this moves? That's what you want to see. You want to see that move. Okay, I got the flange here. So again, I put in the gasket. So you can see the gasket's in. I have the bolts to help me guide. Now on the other side, I have these little dividers. And again, I explained in a previous clip what I believe these little spacers, washers, whatever you want to call them, are meant for. So again, go ahead, and I know that facing the ground is towards the engine, so if you haven't already, now is definitely a good time to put kind of grease, more grease in here, since again you want the grease to be in those little divots, these cracks right here. So just make sure that that gasket's still there and it hasn't fallen out. Align the bolt holes, and then there we go. So then I'm going to lift this side, and just to kind of continue to verify that this inside is still, you know, moves how it should. I'm going to go ahead and put the grease, some more grease on this side now. So as you can see, this is a very, 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 very messy process. So make sure when doing this you're wearing clothes that you really don't care if you get dirty. Install connect this to the drive shaft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the inside, because there's on the drive shaft right after the teeth. I'll go ahead and show you guys once I'm underneath. There's like a lip, and you definitely want to try to get this well lubricated so that this boot part can go over that lip. I am back underneath the car, so I clean it up just a little bit so it's not super messy. What was I gonna say? All right, so now I'm gonna make sure that the teeth on this thing, that there's no like debris or anything, or any little rocks, to make sure it's all smooth around, because even if there is no rock, it's still gonna be a struggle to get this thing back in. So I have to use like a mallet to mallet this thing in. And this is the lip right here I was talking about for this boot to get over. Okay, it's gonna get over this easily, but trying to get over this will be a little bit. So that's why I wanted to grease the inside of that boot. So I'm gonna try to put like so that this thing isn't touching the ground anymore. And now lift this up carefully. So there it's. So before I try to get this over, I am going to see how. There we go. Alright, so I got a part of the boot over that lip, so I'm gonna rotate this slowly so the rest will follow along. And there we go. Look at that. So it's right over the lip. So the next part is to align the teeth from the drive shaft onto the teeth on that inner part. So I'm gonna try to carefully. So obviously you can see how it spins, and the way you can tell that it's connected, that the teeth are lined up. I'm going to try to rotate this slowly until, okay, let me try to do this again because I really want to make sure. There. So right now it's not spinning anymore. So that's telling me that the teeth are all lined up. So now I'm going to go ahead with a mallet to go ahead and oh no, look at that. Never mind, actually I didn't even need a mallet. I really thought I needed a mallet because it was so hard for this to go in. waiting for like the last part to go in. I might need a mallet. Yeah, definitely for sure need a mallet to get this, because I think that's as far as it went. So man, I am so messy right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch gloves real quick and clean up, and then I'll hit it with the mallet, because I don't want to get my mallet all dirty, because look how dirty my hands are now. Alright, so I have my mallet, new gloves. I'm gonna hit this in place. Look at that, definitely went in nice and easy. That bolt came undone, came out, not a big deal. I can easily just put it back in. So now, so you can see how this is turning, and that's exactly what you want to see. So that's how you know that you inserted the inside bearings the correct way, which how I showed you. Now I still have to put this in. I'm not going to do that just yet. So now I'm going to clean up this surface right here, and also up here on the transmission, and go ahead and put in that gasket, and then I'll go ahead and bolt these on. So when it comes to bolting on these 6 bolts, I wasn't able to find an actual document from Audi saying what the correct torque specs for these things are, but after doing several, maybe I didn't search hard enough, but from what I've searched and found out, well, a lot of other people have said in the forums and whatnot, these are to 55 Newton meters, and that's something that I am gonna go ahead and do. But if you do know the actual true torque specs from the factory or from Audi, by all means comment down in the comment section and say and they're actually supposed to be torqued to blah 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 Newton meters. But so far everything I've seen, what everybody else has been saying, what I've been reading in the forums or online, is that these are torqued down to 55 Newton meters. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I cleaned up the part of the rear part of the transmission. Not like fully clean, but just enough where I'm happy with that, with the cleanliness. So here's the second gasket, and this is going to go in between the transmission and then this thing right here. So as before, I am going to align it up like I did with the inner gasket. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, lift this up and align one bolt on one side and one bolt on the other side. So it's going to be, you know, now the easy part is lining this up to that. And yes, I am aware I have not put in the little tie on this yet. I'm going to wait this till the last moment. I don't know why. I figured it would make more sense to do it now, right here in this step, since I have a whole 360 view as compared to up on top. But I feel like I have better, just personal opinion, I'm just going to do it after this. So I'm going to go ahead, lift this up and get these bolts, these threads started. So it's being held up by the transmission, not hanging here on the ground now. All 6 of the 6mm bolts, I torqued them down to 55 Newton meters. And then that little one-time clamp is all clamped together. Ignore what I said. It's a lot easier to clamp this while this was down when I knew I should have done it, but I decided not to because, yeah, that's just me. So a little stubborn me. So yeah, so able to get that on, and that will be the end of this little video series that I've been doing. This is part 4 of 4. And again, I'll say this again one more time. I promise that'll be it. If you do take apart the bearing part like I did, please make sure that you install it back the correct way, because if the joint is moving like this, then more than likely you did it correctly. But if it's stiff and not moving, you're gonna have to take it apart again, and you probably more than likely got mixed up with aligning the slots on the flange part and then the inner part mixed up. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, that you guys learned something new, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.